Well, we do want to thank you so much for keeping it Y in the morning. This is what we do every single weekday from 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. A big thank you to Innocent Juguna, who was in studio with us earlier on with Mr. Barry Moses talking about the film industry in Kenya. Right about now, it is another segment of health and lifestyle on this Wednesday in particular and every other Wednesday right here on Y in the morning. Of course, my name is Shiko Kaitani, part of the morning crew that comes your way every weekday. Now today on our health talk, our focus is cancer and what we as young people need to know in particular about cancer. And so this time around in studio we do have our health expert Dr. Kinuthia Njenga from St. Peter's and Anne Medical Center. And of course, as we expound on the cancer talk, we will also be talking about, or demystifying rather, some of the myths surrounding cancer. And it is at that point we will be joined later on the program by Patricia, who is the head of marketing at Samsung Electronics. For now, karibu sana, Dr. Kinuthia.
Thank you very much, Chico.
All right, so let's jump right into it. Young people have actually been branded as being aloof when it comes to their health and the dangers that surround the lifestyle that we're living. Let's take it from the top. What exactly is cancer?
Thank you. I would like to say greet your viewers.
Yes.
Thank you, Chico, and thank KBC at large for having this opportunity to have me on your studio. Feel humbled.
Yes.
Cancer is abnormal growth of cells or division of cells. What I would like to put you into, normally when the cells are dividing in the body, which makes us, they are regulated.
Right.
And through that regulation, cancer cell now is where they abnormally divide and they lose this control and start affecting the normal tissue. It can affect anybody, and especially the problem we have is with the young people, we do, it's the immortal sensation that this cannot happen to me.
It's true, because we look at it like an old man's disease.
There you go.
Okay.
But yeah, there you go. And I must say, no, cancer can affect anybody. It can affect you, me, my kids, all your kids, and it can affect any age.
Okay. So who in particular is actually at risk of developing cancer?
Normally is when we talk about that, we also have to look at what specific type of cancer we are talking of.
Right.
So like if we talk about the lymphomas, which are most common, especially in young, where when you look at your blood cells, the ones that fight the infection.
Right.
And in young, it can be either from people with viral diseases like HIV, people who are genes, like if your family history of cancer, you also are very high risk of, and sometimes it's just being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And if you look at other diseases like testicular cancer in young men, those are basically common in between age 15 to 30 years of age, and those tend to be with the family history.
Okay.
Things like cervical cancer, which are in young women, basically that's normally part of it caused by the human papilloma virus, which is the virus that and that comes to the next topic that we've been talking about, like why do we need to be screened. And you can also, so it depends on age and what different type of cancer.
So you can't really pinpoint.
You cannot pinpoint unless you go to the specific
I don't know, for
cancer.
me, I kind of feel like cancer seems to evolve just when, experts have sort of found some ground on it, then I don't know, something else pops up. But can you really, or rather give us a scope of what would be causing cancer today?
Thank you. Yes, cancer is always, unfortunately, one step ahead of the research that we are doing, because you have to know we don't do research unless something happens. So as we are working on this type of cancer, it moves to the, we are kind of planning one step behind. Cancer can, most of these cancers affect, its lifestyle, okay? I think everything, and I would urge everybody, is good living, meaning you exercise, you're not on drugs, you're not on anything that can affect your immune system, good healthy eating as well. We should embark on preventing it more, and screening. Like, every age group should undergo routine screening. What I mean with this is, like, if you're having any sign of weight loss, having night sweats, or you're having something like fever, or you check yourself and you have like a lymph that has been there for a while, you should be checked.
You should be checked.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. And now, also on Wednesdays, we do like to focus on women as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the cancers that women definitely need to keep their eyes and their ears open about.
Thank you. Especially in women, number one is cervical cancer.
Yeah.
Cervical cancer, you know, this is where normally you start seeing it in age reproductive, you know, the women, and keeping an eye on cervical cancer is just going routine pap smear.
Yeah.
And routine pap smear should be done once a year. It's not painful. I've had maids, like people coming to my office and say, hey, no,
I don't.
that one I'm told by my friend, a friend to say and so, that is very painful. It is not. It is not painful. And the other one that we should is breast cancer.
Yeah.
And, you know, breast cancer should be, you know, routinely examined. And, you know, and if you feel a lump or you feel anything abnormal, please, you know, see a healthcare, you know, like a doctor to get evaluated.
Okay.
The other cancers like thyroid, you know, they are, you know,
which are common in women.
In women as well. But the, you know, ovarian cancer, unfortunately, those ones we don't have a way of detecting, and you know. But when you are undergoing pap smear, in a way we also check for them. Okay.
Remember, if you would like to follow this conversation right here on Y in the Morning, that SMS number is 22162. Please begin with the words YM254. Tell us where you're watching from and of course your name. If you prefer to get in touch with us through our social media platforms, well, they're still the same. That is definitely YM254 TV on Instagram. We are definitely Y254 channel on Twitter, and simply Y254 on Facebook. Now, Dr. Speaking about the causes of cancer, there are some myths surrounding what causes cancer, and it's at this point I really do want to engage Patricia Kingori, who's from Samsung Electronics. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Okay, so before we get to you, doctor, because I know you have a lot of patients who come forward to you and tell you, oh my God, I had this and this and this causes it. But you're here from Samsung. Tell us about electronics. There's this myth in particular that microwaves actually cause cancer. My mother being one of them, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's true. Many people do believe that microwaves do cause cancer, but it's a thing that we need to demystify.
Okay.
The microwave, as the name implies, micro, small waves. So actually, a microwave cooks or warms food through waves.
Right.
So it releases waves that actually vibrate the water molecules in the food.
Oh, right.
And once the molecules vibrate, they generate heat.
Right.
So the heat comes from within the food and then from outside. That's why a microwave is able to cook so much faster than
oven.
Normal other ways of cooking, whether it's by gas or by the oven. But actually, it is very healthy. In fact, and Dr. can probably attest, the process of cooking is less damaging with a microwave than when you boil food or fry food.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
because number one, the amount of time that is spent cooking is ridiculously low.
Right.
So you don't have much time to actually break down the nutrients within the food. And then secondly, it's the food cooking within itself. So you actually have some very healthy aspects. For example, if you want to make the normal fries and chips, which are very common, we love them. You consume a lot of oil because the potatoes are put into the frying oil. But with the microwave, there's actually what we call a slim fry function, whereby you barely use any oil. You actually can just cook your chips without any oil. And the heat allows it to be crispy on the outside, but still succulent on the inside. So you actually enjoy your fries without freaking out about your health and cholesterol levels.
That's true. And you know, we are also called the microwave generation, haha, because we're always quick and go, right? We just want things chop. But you know, when it comes to using our microwaves, and this is a very common, frequently asked questions on FAQ, what about the use of containers within when you're actually warming your food, with or without? What's the difference?
You've actually asked a very important question, because a lot of people actually use the wrong containers in a microwave.
Okay.
So basically, you can use ceramics,
Okay.
you can use glass, and specific plastics. But all of this, if you look at the label on them, they are actually labeled that they are microwave friendly.
Oh,
so they're
right.
actually designed to be used in a microwave. But don't take like a blue band container, or you got served with fruits,
Yes.
and then, or you know the way the takeaway plastic
my
is very
God,
light, and you don't want to make
I'm
anything
guilty of
dirty,
that. Yeah.
so you go and just push it into the microwave. You shouldn't use that, because that's not the correct type of plastic.
So the issue is we're using the wrong type of plastic.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So it is using the wrong plastics that may cause some of these issues if they were to come up. But if you use the proper plastics, the proper glass or ceramic, then it should not be a problem at all. Yes.
And what about covering of food? Because that doesn't seem to be quite important also in many homes. People just, slap their food in, whatever, with or without the cover.
Usually it's recommended that you cover the food.
Okay.
But when you cover, it's important that I clarify. First, you'll cover because if you're warming something with stew, you don't want it also splattering all over inside the microwave.
True. Yeah.
And covering also helps the warming to be faster.
Yeah.
But there are containers which are like lock and lock. You seal it completely. Now, those can be dangerous because the pressure that is inside the food, or as the food warms up, it builds pressure.
Right.
So you do not seal the top completely. You do not cover in a way that is locked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the top will blow off when you actually open the container.
It's true.
And another thing is with eggs.
Right.
Boiled eggs.
I was just thinking about that.
Oh, boiled eggs, they can cause a lot of disaster. One, you do not warm a boiled egg with a shell in it. It will explode. As I told you, that the microwaves warm the water molecules inside the food, so it builds up pressure. And even after you remove the shell, you should cut it up or pierce with a fork and allow a place where the pressure can actually get out, and then now you warm the egg. Yes.
Okay, good question. Coming up here, I've heard from my director on our SMS number 22162. A big thank you to, I can see Roderick here has sent a text message. And I don't know, Patricia, maybe you can expound on this in terms of electronics. Cell phones. What about them? Because there's also that rumor that cell phones do cause cancer thanks to the electric and magnetic energy. What about that?
Well, I would put it this way. One needs to buy authentic mobile phones because, yes, they can have that static that may cause cancer.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that people stop buying fake items.
Okay.
Because these ones are not certified. Any phone made by a manufacturer that is certified and allowed into a country legally has already had the checks for health and that they meet the required standards. Anything beyond that, I cannot guarantee you.
Right.
So always buy a genuine product. It may cost you a bit more, but your health is more important than that extra 200, 300 shillings that you will pay, or 1,000 shillings for an authentic product.
Okay, so they can be harmful to our health.
Yes, if they're not regulated and they're not made, every manufacturer, every authentic manufacturer has standards with which everything must be made. So as long as they meet those requirements, then that is perfectly okay. If you buy anything fake, it means that the person has put anything, they've not followed any standard, and therefore you cannot guarantee any such product.
Okay.
And also to assure them is a lot of studies has been done with the cooperation. Like I trained in USA, and I know there have been so much study done in cooperation with the companies that are making the phone. Independent researchers have found no evidence that this causes so far that and it's been over 10 years where these cell phones has been massively used. We haven't had any pandemic. How many hours in a day do you
spend on the phone? And especially young people, we're always on our phones. Okay, so I'm going to ask my producer to actually put up those questions on our screen so that we can probably just look at them together. But speaking about some of these myths, Daktari, there's also a question here that's come in through 22162 about cancer being contagious. Can you actually contract cancer? Because that's a very common myth, the way you would HIV.
This section should be called Mythbusters.
Yes.
And I really, you know, then that's a good question.
Yeah.
No, I don't, you cannot. Cancer, again, as I say, it's not either, you know, you cannot transmit from one person to the other. And there's not evidence that this has been shown in any type of cancer. But, you know, and even like when you do blood transfusion, these things are already checked and, you know, so I do not say, I don't think you can. There's no evidence, there's no enough, you know, cases has not been documented that you know, you got one cancer from the other person.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Also now speaking about those myths, this is the last one on that particular one. It's about cancer being passed down. For example, my father passed from cancer. Am I at risk of it?
That's a good question. Yes. It does not mean that you're going to get it. And what this is the section that is very important when you go to see a doctor. You know I have questioned people so much to a point where sometimes they ask, Doctor, you have so many questions. I just came for a code. Just leave me alone and let me go to my next agenda of the day. These genes. And basically we are a product of genes. And, you know, so if your family has family history of, you know, breast cancer, you know, family history of prostate cancer, you know, you are at high risk of getting cancer. And that's why you should go routine examination. So the answer is yes. You always, if it lands in the family, you're high risk.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about now prevention. And you've talked about screening. We always hear about this, but we never take it seriously. What is the importance of having screenings regularly? And what is the frequency we should be going for screenings? Because also that part, you find that a lot of people don't know. They'll feel like if I did it this year, there's no need of me going for it until maybe 20 or something, you know?
You know, you know, the thing is most cancers have no symptoms. Don't be like, you know, if a cancer is starting to have symptoms, it has moved to the next level. And actually, over 95% of these cancers, if you detect them early, they are curable. So you don't, you know, so yearly, everybody should go routine, you know, we call them routine medical examination. This would include physical exam, would include blood, would include urine, among other tests that we do. So once a year, whether you're healthy or not, just like we service our cars, you should undergo routine examination.
All right. Okay, so you've talked about how many times in a year? Once.
Most of these cancers, unless if I see my patients like today, I always tell them, if you feel something abnormal you're concerned about, come back. So if I see you today and tomorrow you develop a symptoms or the sign, do not wait until when I told you. But if everything is normal, once a year. And
are we guilty of that?
Majority of us.
We come when it's too late.
And this is where I'm always gender biased, especially men. We are very, we don't go for checkups. And I think
kila kitu iko sawa.
Kila iko sawa. If I woke up early and I'm doing good, everything is all right.
Okay.
But as I say, most cancers have no symptoms.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, even in terms of the cost of treatment, I think that's also a very interesting point. For a lot of people, they feel that, by the way, cancer treatment is fairly expensive. And yes, it is. But what do you have to say about that? And even in terms of the government's role to assist cancer patients and centers? Yes.
You know, the treatment most of the time will remain the same. But what I tell people is, what I look at it is, what is my prognosis after being treated? And so if you detect cancer early, the treatment is cheap. Because you probably undergo like resection of that cancer and it's gone. If you detect it late, then the treatment is very expensive. And this is a worldwide problem. Cancer is expensive in USA, in Europe, in India, and everywhere. And I must say, at this point I would thank the Kenyan government because they are working on this. They're importing and they're opening these cancer centers that are, we may not feel it, but over time, if you follow the data, it will really be of a beneficial help.
Patricia, can you contribute in terms of Samsung's participation in the health sector?
Actually, health is one of our pillars of corporate citizenship, or what people commonly call CSR. And what we do is that we have what we call digital villages. We give this into very remote areas because they use solar panels, and usually it's in the remote areas that you find that health is always a challenge. So our digital village will consist of a whole maternal health care, and it will have a place where blood samples can be done and tested. It has a dental unit, and it has a whole generator that can be used. So for example, we find challenges in remote areas where a clinic is there, but they cannot even keep vaccines because electricity is not reliable. They cannot do simple procedures because there is no electricity. So the generator, solar generator, actually supplies energy for such things. And we have put this in remote areas. It also helps in telemedicine. Telemedicine is now very important because Daktari is seated here in Nairobi, and somebody is somewhere in a remote area in Western Kenya, maybe deep down Amukura, and they need simple advice, and they'll be able to have telemedicine and communicate with the doctor, and the doctor, and they'll therefore be able to address at least the minor things at their level, and if anything is more serious, then they are referred to referral hospitals. And we have rolled this out across Africa. We've rolled one within closer home. We've rolled one in Tanzania. There's one at the port, actually, we're bringing in for Kenya. We've done it in Ethiopia, in DRC. So it's a project that we have as where we're using technology to improve health. So when you talk of telemedicine, it's really technology, and all the equipments, we actually put them there, even though we are not doctors per se, but the technology helps improve health within those remote areas.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah, and you know, these Western countries have really tried on this. And you know, what telemedicine, she's, you know, as Patricia is talking about, is where the doctor is not on site.
That's true. You can actually get your consultation now over the phone, over a tab.
You can examine the patient, you can see the patient, and you tell them this is where you need to take to within a sprint of a second. And can you imagine how much life will save with that somewhere in a remote part of Kenya? And all they need is just ferry them to a room. This patient has a video, they have everything, and the doctor can instruct, no, do this, and
all right. I understand we don't have too much time, so let's wind up then with maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of the cure, the search for the cure for cancer, there's a lot of talk as well about herbal medicine actually curing cancer.
What I tell you, Vio, is this: we have 2 types of medication. We have the normal prescribed medication, and that's a medication that has undergone extensive research, and they have evidence that they have shown. You know, like, you know, I'll say a good example. Like in USA, where I trained, I trained and worked for 15 years. You cannot use that word cure unless you have undergone FDA approval. Any herbal, any herbal medicine becomes a supplement.
Oh, really?
It is a supplement. If you prove that, if you say that you can cure, you have to undergo. You tell me, yes, I can. This can cure. Then give me your data, and then my lab would undergo research and see if we can, correct. So I would say at this point, no, we don't have evidence that herbal medicine are curing cancer. And I feel bad because this is where we're getting our people die of a possible small type
because
of
they refuse
cancer.
to go for treatment because they believe some herbal or some plant that they'll, strain and turn into tea.
And I would challenge the government. Come on, if I come here and start saying, hey, I will cure cancer, let me show the evidence. Back it up with the evidence. And if you cannot do that, then you should not be allowed to inform people. Yes.
Okay. All right. So how should one deal, and this is more of a psychological and emotional point of view, how should one deal with a cancer patient, either as a friend or family?
I would say there's always something, this is a life-changing moment, and it comes with emotions, whether positive or negative will come with emotions. And if you look, even most psychiatrists will tell you there's what is called, depression of chronic disease, because cancer becomes chronic. You have to be very sensitive, okay? And once someone is diagnosed with cancer, you have to let them vent. And there's so many types of you know, there's so many types of briefing, because this is someone who's in bereavement, and you have to let them, you know, some people will cry, some people will, you know, be aggressive, some people will just not want to talk. This is where you have to be sensitive. You have to go to what that person likes, and you have to ensure that follow them closely. You don't have to tell me, hey, you know, I don't have to tell I'm following you up to see how you're doing.
That's true.
Take a step behind and follow, and be there for them, because most of these people who get cancer, you know, most of the people who do well is those people who are mentally prepared. Us as doctors, well, the other thing I would say is be there for them.
Yeah.
Just don't tell me I have cancer and walk away.
And be like police and sort of like a death sentence.
And and this is where people end up in herbal medicine, because you did not give them information. You have to, what we, you know, other countries have done and I've seen is, if you have cancer, you're slotted like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and you're told to come with all questions. And normally when you diagnose someone with cancer, the information are going like this. If you face them, they're scared. They're deer on a headlight.
Yes.
They don't know what you're saying.
Yes.
Have them, if you're a doctor, have them come with the family. The family will get the information, and when they go home, they can talk.
Okay. All right. So if anyone would like to get in touch with you, Daktari, how can they reach you? And then finally, Patricia, your last words, even as we wind up this interview.
You mentioned right at the beginning that this is called a microwave generation.
Yes.
You want everything moving quickly, but that's the way life is. It's moved very fast with the improvement of technology. All I'd like to say, because today it's about health, is that when you're using electronics, use a brand that is reliable. Use a brand that is strong, that has been there, that has a good, solid reputation when you're purchasing your electronic items. That way, you're sure that in that aspect, you are covered, because all the necessary regulatory requirements have been adhered to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, and for you?
And also to, you know, and sum up with what, also to support what she's saying is, cheap can be expensive.
At the end of the day.
It always is.
It is, always is. Yeah, if someone would like to get a hold of me, we are on Facebook, as well as online, St. Peter and Ann Medical Center. We are located in Loaka, Kiambu. We are about like 4 kilometers from Two Rivers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Let me say thank you for coming through today. I think it was such a great talk, and also very insightful. I think we've learned something today.